Like and subscribe! Alright, hello SUPER-SMP fans, or just general fans of my channel. So basically this video, I'm just going to talk about, like, my thoughts on the different designs for SUPER-SMP. If you haven't seen the SUPER-SMP stuff, I would definitely recommend watching that before this, but, so here, we obviously have Grace's Phase 1 design. This was, like, my initial thought for, like, alright, Captain America, Wolverine, put them together, right? Wolverine's, like, helmet, right, add, you know, the sort of more cap body, keep the, like, little, like, arm, like, keep the skin here from Wolverine, and then with these, you can see it better in later ones, because this has less pixels, but, like, here, for example, imagine this has this colors, but, like, you can see that, you know, there's a star here, and then, you know, red stripes fall off of it, and then there's blue there, kind of like different elements of the American flag coming together. And this part, I just wanted, like, more stripes. Speaking of, let's move on to this design, the Phase 2 design. So this design, being the original, was very much meant to be, like, more lighthearted. It was like, it was a very, like, good introduction on who the character of Captain Grace was. While this one, Grace is very much working for the government, and especially during Phase 2, when, the government is, like, this darker force. If Grace is working for them, I want Grace's suit to be darker. So a lot of the, for example, the blue is dark blue. The white is replaced by black most of the place anyway, except for this. I actually really like how this looks here. Big fan of, like, how this ended up, but, like, I do really like this suit. However, like, it doesn't represent the character, it represents the themes of the character at the time. The next suit is actually, a beta thing. Like, I made this, this is the original version of the Phase 3 suit, which you're about to see. But first I want to talk about this. Pretend there's a mouth here. There's meant to be a mouth here, but, like, I didn't edit the skin. Because basically in the original skin, like, there's a mouth hole, and then on the server you put on the suit. But yeah, so with Grace here, right, obviously, right, so I'm just gonna explain my intention. I wanted to get the best of both worlds from these two, right, and so for a long time this was what Grace's final suit looked like, but I eventually realized I didn't even like it. So basically, I wanted it to fade from dark blue to light blue, and then the lighter color being white to the darker color being, like, a dark gray. It doesn't look good. I'm just gonna be honest with it. Like, it doesn't look good. There's just a color. There's so much imbalance with the color. Oh, also actually, on Grace's Phase 1 suit, the star is, like, canonically white. But, like, it's canonically white, but for the skin, I didn't just want it to, like, seem like the stripe was actually leading into this, so it's gray on the skin. But it is, like, a canonically white star. Speaking of stars, now onto the actual Phase 3 suit, which was seen in the, obviously the animation bit of the last bit of Phase 2. My god, I love this suit. It became my favorite Grace suit. It takes a lot of elements from this. It's basically just a recolor of this, except for the chin strap here. But, like, it keeps, you know, the same general helmet shape from it keeps a lot of stuff from Phase 2, because Phase 2 is a more detailed version of Phase 1. I wanted to simplify things, so I got rid of the belt and, like, the more detail around this area, made it pure black, and then the black really makes the light blue pop, and then the red and white are obviously, like, oh, America. And, like, this definitely feels like if Grace's more modern suit from Phase 2 was adapted with her, like, more of her original color. And the black is just, like, to make things pop, and it keeps the idea of combining elements from Phase 2 and Phase 1 together. So now we're gonna go, as I crawl over here, to the next character, who is Thor. So the first suit is very much meant to be, like, basic Thor-y, right? He's a raccoon man, but, like, there's a hood on the cape, and that's what that is there. And then he's got this, like, sort of gray armor going on, like Thor. Then with the next one, I really wanted to amp up the royalty factor of the character, And I think I did it better than the MCU did in Love and Thunder. I'm not gonna lie, but like yeah. So I added some blue highlights and I made the arms more golden. Ironically inspired by Iron Man. But yeah, so I wanted to, that I wanted to make it sort of, I wanted to make it seem more like, I wanted to make it seem more royal. And then in the final version, you see his ex-girlfriend Abby, who's next. Her favorite color is pink, and so I was like to sort of symbolize the fact that like they're like more like they're very important to each other, and Abby's suit gets more pink over time. So Zach's suit then gets like a nice pink shade, which also makes it brighter. I like that it's brighter. And then I made his eyes glow to show that he's stronger now. I would say that this is like my favorite suit just because like I like the rose gold. I like I like the like subtle pinkness of the armor. This is the first one. The middle one's good. I don't hate it, but like of the three, it would be third place. Oh yeah, with the Grace ones, I would rank it the worst one would be the shitty Phase 3 suit that I made. Then the next one would be Phase 2 because I don't, again, like that was for the plot. It doesn't represent the character though, which is very intentional with the colors. I do like it, but for the character, it's second worst. Then Phase 1 and then the actual Phase 3 suit. God, I really like that, and I do really like this too. Then there's Abby. Abby's suits it's very simple. Her cape's red here, her cape's pink here, and then her armor gets pink here. You can see it back there. Pink, pink, and then actually it gets to a lighter pink here. Well, there you see. Very simple. I just wanted it to become more pink because kind of not only true because Abby likes the color pink, so I assume she'd be happy about that, but also because like I wanted to represent that the power of the hammer is becoming less about her boyfriend's, right? It's less his power and more her power, and so there's like a nice gradient. The suit becomes more pink as things go by. So now onto the next suit, Scarlet Spider. So I'm gonna talk about these two and then the Phase 3 suit individually. This is actually the first unveiling of that suit, which is really interesting. But so Phase 1, right? The Phase 1 Scarlet Spider suit. I wanted it to take cues from both like a bunch of different Spider-Men and also, mainly Scarlet Spider, right? So there's the hoodie type design, right? There's a hood here. There's the hood, and so I wanted this to kind of be like hoodie-like. I wanted it to seem both like high tech, but also low tech. Like I could believably see some guy stitching this together in like his apartment or like his mom's garage, right? I could see some guy putting this together by hand, but also there are some more like it doesn't look like completely non-technology, right? The spider symbol, the spider symbol looks like this because I wanted it to have sort of a high tech feel. Because like he's like, especially like when he gets this suit in the like canonically, right? He makes this suit as a replacement for his original suit, which was just it was the comic Scarlet Spider suit. It was a red suit with a hoodie, and so he wanted a tech upgrade, and so the symbol's more techy, and it's kind of like I was kind of inspired by like computer chips, and so like and then there's the line on the boot here, right? And then inspired by kind of like the Far From Home suit and Miles' suit, it has like the red fingies, the red fingers. And then the mask is just like a like red mask. Phase 2. Phase 2's so initially, first change, darker blue. Because again, Phase 2 is way darker theme-wise than Phase 1. Was I saying Part 2? Phase 2. The Phase 2 suit, right? And so that's initially like very much I wanted to depict that it was a very dark period, especially for Riley's character. He just did not have a fun time during that phase 2, not Part 2. And then obviously there's I really, as you can tell, I really liked playing with the gradients here, right? And that's part of the reason Grace's suit had the weird look it had. But so basically for one, it plays more into the high-tech thing, right? It seems kind of makes it evolution-y. But then actually inspired by the Turn Off the Dark suit, which if you've seen my video where I ranked Spider-Man suits, was actually my friend Riley and my friend Zach, who Thor over there is based on. I I do actually kind of like the Turn Off the Dark suit. I like the Turn Off the Dark suit because it's bad, but also because it has one good idea, which is it had these blendy colors to make it look kind of like it was straight out of comic book, and I really like the idea. I don't think they executed that suit very well, but I want to incorporate that with this suit, and this was actually the first one I designed with this gradient. And it's a very simple upgrade from this suit. Then Phase 3, which this is, I guess this is the grand unveiling. This is his Phase 3 suit. So basically, the Phase 3 suits are like their final suits. So I wanted this to be like, I was like, okay, I'm going to, like, if I want to take the stuff I liked from these two and make them done. Like, if I want to call it finished, like, what would I do? One, I took some inspiration from the PS4 game, big white symbol, and then I took the new MCU Spider-Man symbol and plopped it on the chest there. I did, I was like, okay, cool. Also because the one on the previous two suits was based on the previous MCU stuff, and, Peter got that suit in the MCU when he was, like, kind of becoming his own man, his own Spider-Man, right? I made the lenses just have this white shine to them, just because I liked how they worked with everything else. That was actually the last decision I made. Originally, they were going to have the darker sort of reflection, like the originals, but I like the more, like, there's a word I'm looking for, but whatever, right? Then, okay, this is where I got the idea for Grace's thing, like, kind of. And this suit has the most variations. I don't have the file saved, but, like, this suit took a while because I really wanted to hone it down. So there's the gradient of the dark blue to the lighter blue. I really like that. Well, technically a black to a blue. But so basically, right, it's because, there's a lot of black and blue here, and also because it kind of creates that feeling of, like in the comics, how it's originally, at least, it was black shade with blue, and later on it was blue shade with black. And I want to kind of give that feeling, and if I were to, like, draw it, I would probably draw it, like, with that blue shading. But I really like how it ended up, and with this here, right, I raised up the sort of effect from these two boots, right, and I made it basically so that, like, it's basically just, like, a big boot with this line on it, right. It gives that kind of effect, which I think is cool. And then here, he has, like, more defined shoulders on the suit, like, they actually, like, go onto his arms more so than, like, the more hoodie design. He actually lost the hoodie, which was an important part of his character, but, this is his becoming a man suit, right. And so, losing the hoodie is, like, very important to show that he's not immature anymore. He's grown a lot. I like it winds. Oh yeah, I'll show you actually the. I don't remember why that's there. Whatever. We'll talk about Venom after this. But, like, as you can see, I'll show you the symbols on all three of their backs, right? So the first one was like this. Second one was a little more, like, violent, right? The first one was very simple, reflecting the simpleness. The next one was a bit more complicated, but it also had a sort of more violent look. And then the third one takes a lot of inspiration from the classic look. The very, like, classic, like, symbol. But it also, like, leads into the symbol on the front, which is cool. So, that was a very intentional decision. Alright, so, now on to Venom, right? So, initially, I'll just compare the Phase 1 and 2 designs together at first. So, initially, right, initially, the design was just going to be one thing, because I do feel like I perfected the design just wholesale. I feel like the design was, like, the initial idea was perfect, but there was one minor thing that I was going to change, which was these ankle cuff things, right? Initially the Phase 2 one was going to be the final one, but I decided to change that. So, initially, right, Phase 1, these big, thick ones was the idea. These big, thick ones, to show, like, a more kiddie personality. The symbol is also a lot chunkier and, objectively worse. Canonically speaking, though, I think the symbol, like, probably always looked the same canonically. Like, I don't think there's really any reason it should have actually, like, been different. But, like, visually, for, like, this does look a lot more immature. Like, maybe it was a bit messy, but I don't think it looked like this, per se. Right, and so then I added this line to sort of, like, it makes it look a bit more, it leans towards this thing's benefit, which is it looks more mature than this one here, right? And then, in this one, the cuff thing, for the boots becomes 1, and pretty much everything else stays the same. Now I want to actually explain, something else about this design, though, right? So, my intention was with this, I'll actually, the little thing in the bottom right corner. Okay, this thing, right? So, this will be our example for what I wanted, right? So, as you can see, very sharp eyes, because Venom, duh. The spider symbol, honestly, all this drawing, not amazing. I just want to, like, make this for the sake of it. But, right, so then there's the little triangles for Venom, right, and then there's this. My intention with this was actually to replicate the sort of pattern you see on the normal Spider-Man suit, right? So as you can see, there is one line coming from the hands to the top of the suit, right? And then it creates sort of a belt, and then it cuts off, and then there's a boot line, right? Like, you can, like, if you compare the two, you could probably understand, like, oh, hey, I see that, right? And that was my intention with this. Like, that was my intention. I wanted it to sort of evoke that sort of classic Spider-Man thing while being, like, a symbiote, right? And I feel like I did that expertly with, like, the Venom symbol, right? That's why I really like this suit. Not only because it's Spide, but, like, I do really feel like the idea was just super solid behind it. Every suit has at least, like, one, like, concrete set of inspiration behind it. Now onto Will's suits. So Web Wasp is an interesting character because though the first two suits are based on Miles' suit color scheme-wise, Willow shares nothing with Miles other than, like, base initial powers, right? Like, oh, they have spider powers, and Willow has, like, the web, the Willow has, shit, I forgot. Basically, Willow has, like, Miles' invisibility, oh yeah, and then his Venom Blast. As you can see here, initially it's just, like, a big W for Web Wasp, but also Will. Ignore this and this. This texture is messed up, and I just didn't have wasn't in the mood to fix it for here. Pretend this looks like this, right? So, it's not perfect by any means, right? It's very much meant to be a poorly made suit. And the eyes are a bit more, like, innocent here, right? A bit more innocent, and then phase 2s, as they seem to take the trend, right? Actually, though, I want to, actually, like, hold on, wait. Okay, whatever. But, this red thing is actually meant to be on the inside of the legs. Just keep that in mind, like, that's how it looks on the inside of the legs. Then, the W becomes a bit more of an actual spider symbol. The symbol on the back goes from this to this, which is a really interesting change to me. It becomes bigger, more bombastic. But yeah, and then the web shooters become, like, a bit more refined. They're a bit curvier, a bit smaller. Because Willow's character is actually the only one of the three spiders that doesn't have bio-webbing. The symbiote obviously makes bio-webbing, and Riley makes bio-webbing. Willow does not. Then there's the Phase 3 design. Also technically, like, the final battle design, right? So, basically, right, mostly the same, from the last phase, right? Like, except the web shooters, there's a little more going on. They're more complex, but actually they look more, like, futuristic because of that. And then, obviously, it's gold now. Partially because, like, I want to move away from the Miles impression because they're very different characters. And also because, like, I think it just looks good. And also because Web Wasp sort of gets some B colors in there. And then on the back, so this symbol is meant to be very gaudy. There's a W there, and, like, a little, like, not a hexagonal symbol. Ignore that thing. There's a little, like, not the wasp symbol, but, like, the Black Widow, yes. And so, yeah, it's meant to show, like, growing hostility in the characters. Obviously, phase 2, everyone's friggin' hostile. And then after the snap, Willow's character obviously has been through a lot of bad things. Next, onto, I didn't fix this one either. That's great. Just pretend it looks okay. So here is what is technically the rescue armor, technically the stealth armor. It just looks like this. So yeah, I didn't want to really, like, put the first few Iron Man suits here, because, like, I mean, I will talk on the initial Hulkbuster and the second Hulkbuster, and those will just pop up on screen, but I didn't want to put them in here, right? So, this suit, I wanted to look like Rescue, just cause, I was like, it'll make this suit look better, because it'll be like, oh, there's a bit of trend. I find it really interesting how, like, it was a personal choice to not have Iron Man don the classic colors until, like, end of phase 2. I find that, like, I don't know, it just made sense to me, that he wouldn't until then, right? So, right, this suit is like, it's also because rescue and like recon, right, those two things can go well together, so that's why I took the MC rescue design and put it for the stealth Iron Man suit. And then for this suit, it's basically just a brighter version of the suit used in Avengers Endgame. A lot brighter. Like, that was my only complaint about that suit. I like how it looks otherwise, like, I really like how this looks, but I didn't like the more muted colors, so I made it like a bright hot rod red. Now I'm going to talk about the two Hulkbusters. The initial one is it was very limited because it was a recolor of a mods, like, of the mech mods, creeper thing. And so, you know, it doesn't look bad, but and also I played into the rudimentary when I made the second version, which you'll see on screen now, and that second version was, it's less limited, mainly because it's only art, right? And so, that one's basically just like, it's a lot closer to what I had the entire time for my vision. Like, that's what I pictured in my brain, when I did that, when I like came up with the idea of the Hulkbuster for SUPER-SMP. But yeah, and I could like comment on villain designs now. I mean, there's not like a ton I'd like to comment on that exist. But I will comment on a few. Like special ones, right? Like ones that are like, oh yeah, that character has a certain design. Like Magneto, for example. That would like I really want to have a plot reason for why his armor looks like the purpley sort of way it does, and so I made his skin look the way it does. It's and I also wanted a reason for the helmet, and I wanted to have big red menacing eyes because that just looks cool. Let's see. Then I mean, like Mandarin, I just made Mandarin look like that because I really like Iron Man Armored Adventures. That's my main reason behind that. Cassidy, I just made Cassidy a girl because I figured if I am, might as well make my villain one, right? Well, oh no, spoilers, the character named after Cletus Cassidy is gonna be a bad guy. So I guess that's very minor spoilers, but yes, Cassidy is in fact Cletus Cassidy's, like, variant self. The Hank Pym, Janet Van Dyne, skins, those two, I had fun designing those. I like how they look. They very much feel like old school in comparison to the modern SUPER-SMP suits because they were set in the past, but also, like, I do like, they feel, they do feel like high tech, right? Kraven, I like Kraven. He's pretty simple. He's a guy, right? Let's see, what else is there? Oh yeah, then there's Electro. I wanted to, like, have Electro. Electro is very much like, I don't know, I like Electro. Electro's cool, and so I wanted Electro to look a very specific way, and so Electro looks a very specific way. Electro has that very specific look to him, and I wanted there to be different phases, one for the hilarious jokes from Riley about his appearance, but also because I thought it'd be interesting that the more power he absorbs, the different he looks, and, of course, like, the neutral one being his classic yellow color, the weakest being the blue color he has an ultimate, and if he goes red, then that's, like, dangerous for him, and so obviously red is danger, right? Then there's Hera. Hera's an interesting one. With Hera, well, because I didn't just want to do Thanos, and I didn't just want to do comic Thanos. I wanted the character to have, and I could have just, like, said, oh, it's Thanos, but, like, I don't know. I felt like I wanted Hera to be distinct from Thanos, because I don't feel like either version of Thanos would have worked. For SUPER-SMP, one, because this is far earlier on in SUPER-SMP's, like, phases, and so there's no, like, cosmic stuff going on, and there might never be, actually. Like, this is the most cosmic that, the SUPER-SMP may ever get. And so, Hera, right, so Thanos relies a lot on the fact that there's these big cosmic characters. Meanwhile, if Hera's just some murderer, it really, like, if Hera's just some sociopathic murderer who just wants people dead and to, like, taste that fear, it very much, like, I feel like it fits SUPER-SMP a lot better. I don't hate Thanos, I really like Thanos, that's why I adapted Thanos into Hera. But, I felt like, alright, I'll just make, like, a different character. And also because I like the idea of the Infinity Stones being separated across the armor depending on, like, the Mind Stones on the head, the da-da-das on the different part of the body. And I thought it was a good idea. Doom, I'll talk about Dr. Doom for a minute. He has very, like, armory armor, which some people probably might not like. But you know, I feel like it works for Super simply because like his skin looks a lot like kind of just like shrapnel-y. You know, it looks like it's been, you know, like molded to his skin. Like I feel like the comic design, like I want it to look like the comic design is very clean and I like the comic design. However, I wanted like him in this to look very like, you know, very like iconic, I guess is what I'm going for. I just wanted to throw in some last minute thoughts. One, I didn't talk about Anti-Venom. Anti-Venom looks a lot different than he does in the comics, mainly because I wanted there to be some consistency between Anti-Venom and Venom. Just because, like, you know, Super SMP Venom looks very different from classic Venom. Second thing I want to talk about is I realized I forgot to mention something about Riley's eyes in his third design. Since I was going away from the more classic Scarlet Spider hoodie look, I wanted to add something back, kind of, so the eyes being more like white with the reflection is kind of a nod towards how in the original Scarlet Spider design from Marvel, the eyes are like pure white. Although I don't actually think pure white eyes would look good in that design. I think it would have been too much white, but I do think the like white reflection was actually like very, I feel like it works a lot better than the pure white eyes would have. You also see on screen, I changed the art for this a little bit because I wanted it to look at least slightly better. Only so much you can do though once it's, you know, made. But yeah. But yeah, so that's pretty much every design I wanted to comment on for Super. But if you have like anything you'd like me to comment on in the future, feel free to check out my my streams, and feel free to ask in chat like, hey, this Super design, what was your thought for that, right? Why did you design this character this way? You know, why did you give John Cena 3 nipples? Or something silly like that. And hey, if you're watching this video, SUPER-SMP has already been out since the 12th, so feel free to catch up if you haven't already. And also, I'd like to shout out some of my friends who are going to be on the server. For starters, there's my friend Willow, twitch.tv/buzzybear, BUZZIEBEAR. Depending on how long Twitch VODs last, the VOD of when we first got on the server may still be up there. Will could have also played since then, so there might be a newer VOD out there. Then there's Will's YouTube VODs channel if you want to see a bunch of Will's older streams. Next, there's my buddy Zach, also known as Zach the Whack, and also known as Turtle Customs. If you are looking for any sort of custom painted or just generally customized action figures, he's your man to go to, I guarantee. At the time of this editing, I don't have like pictures to flash on screen, but if you do want to see it, go to his Twitter, @turtle_customs. It's spelled exactly how it sounds. Speaking of Zach, now on to his girlfriend. Abby, another member of SUPER-SMP, does art commissions, and you can find her on both Twitter and Instagram with the same at FIZY strawberry. No spaces, underscores, or anything. And though he never uses it, my friend Riley does have a Twitch, twitch.tv/onegunner57, no spaces, capitals, or anything in there. And lastly, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel right now. Hit a like, leave a comment. See you later, and don't forget to like and subscribe!